The Corcoran Entertainment Show is brought to you by Podmatch, the ultimate platform designed to connect podcast hosts with prospective guests effortlessly. Are you a podcaster looking to elevate your show to new heights? Or perhaps you're a guest hoping to share your story with a broader audience. Whatever your podcasting goals are, we have the perfect solution for you. Podmatch simplifies the entire process of discovering guests for your show or finding podcasts to feature your expertise. Now imagine a platform where you can easily match with like-minded creators tailored specifically to your niche. With Podmatch, you can effortlessly network with influencers and thought leaders, all while staying true to your podcast vision. There are a multitude of ways that Podmatch can help you grow your brand. You can be part of a thriving community of podcasters and potential guests. Engage, collaborate, and grow together. If you're ready to experience these fantastic benefits for yourself, we invite you to join Podmatch today. Head over to www.joinpodmatch.com/Corcoran Entertainment and sign up right now for only $6 a month. That's right, you heard me right, $6 a month. Join the Podmatch family today and watch your podcast soar to new altitudes. Thank you for tuning into the Corcoran Entertainment Show, and happy podcasting. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Corcoran Entertainment Show. I am your host, Frankie Corcoran. How we all doing today on this lovely Thursday? Enjoying the summer, staying hydrated, all that good stuff. Before we get started today, I just want to give a quick little plug for an event that is happening in Miramichi tonight, actually. Lights, Strings, Play. This is going to be over at St. Michael's Basilica, which is located over in Chatham, of course. And join the insanely talented Miramichi Youth String Orchestra as they take the stage for their season finale concert. With a lively and cinematic spirit, the evening will include music inspired by beloved film scores, classical favorites, bold contemporary works, and expect moments of beauty, excitement, and joy, all brought to life through the power of strings. Come support the next generation of musicians as they light up even more the St. Michael Basilica with sound, expression, and heart. Free admission Thursday, June 19th, which is today, at 6:30 at St. Michael's Basilica in Chatham. So be sure to go on out and show some support for a very, very talented group. And it's going to be a great time. So hope to see lots of people there. Lots of talent. We got lots of freaking talent here on the river. For those of you guys who aren't in the Miramichi and surrounding areas and came here looking to see Ayla Casey, wherever you are in the world, we'll move on to that. Ayla Casey. This was a great conversation. It was very inspirational. It was very touching. Ayla is a grief mentor, health and legacy advocate, mental health advocate, and writer who, after losing her husband to young onset colon cancer, she has made it her, dedicated her life to honoring his legacy. And it was really powerful. It was just a really powerful conversation, and it's one that definitely be sure to tell your friends about this one. Spread the word to tell people about, just to hear Ayla's story. It's really touching. It's very powerful, and I had a blast with her. She was truly fantastic. So definitely, guys, just enjoy the show. If you like it, leave us a nice little review, rating, whatever it is you give. And without further ado, guys, just sit back, relax, and enjoy today's Thursday edition of the Corcoran Entertainment Show. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Corcoran Entertainment Show. I am your host, Frankie Corcoran, and today I am joined by a writer, grief mentor, mental health advocate, who has just had a very long and detailed career raising mental health awareness, telling her story. I'm very, very excited to have her on here today. Ayla Casey. Ayla, how are you?
Hi, Frankie. It's great to be here. I'm doing well and really happy to be recording with you today.
Yes, well, thank you very much for coming on. And I got to tell you, I always love chatting with people who, we all go through grief. We all go through, mental health and, all kinds of hardships in life. Life throws all kinds of curveballs at us. But what I love about people like you is using what has happened as a way to, not you don't let it drag you down. You actually want to tell your story, inspire others, and help people, realize that they aren't alone. So, what was probably, through your journey, how did, you kind of get started in wanting to encourage others to seek help and talk about it?
Well, I think it really started with my husband being diagnosed with colon cancer, and really that was the beginning of my advocacy journey. And becoming a caregiver highlighted the ways in which, for me personally, that I needed to show up for myself in a deeper capacity than I ever had been, in order to show up for my husband as his caregiver. But not only that, I mean, the work that he and I did together was much deeper than being in love and being, soulmates. I'm really proud to say. He was a touring musician, and we embarked on many mutual projects together during our time, during his time and our time together on this planet. And when he was diagnosed, there was a sort of a responsibility that we felt that others should be made aware of this disease and the risk factors, as its colon cancer rates are rising among young people at frankly alarming rates. It's no longer considered an old person's disease like it was, a few generations ago. And so in, that advocacy work and giving people the wanting to give people the opportunity to take charge of their health in the ways that my husband wasn't able to, um, was the beginning of that journey. And then for me as a caregiver, like learning how to create spaciousness for myself within my own self in order to be able to show up for him and for all of these causes that meant so much to us, is what started me on this path. And it's just grown and become deeper, and I've become more curious and more interested. And, like yourself, I find a lot of deep fulfillment in this work.
Yeah, because it really feels like you're making a difference, and knowing that you're not letting what happened, because we know of people, something happens and they just shut themselves off and they're just like, I'm just gonna do my thing, and I'm just gonna, not that that's necessarily a bad thing, because I mean, people deal with grief and people deal with mental health issues and stuff like that in different ways. But it's if you can make something out of it and really try to make it worth it to help others, not just help yourself, but to also help others. If you're doing better, try to do something that can help make other people feel better. Looking back on your career and stuff like that, you spent over a decade in the beauty industry. Were there any key skills or experiences that you kind of gathered up during that time that kind of shaped you into this type of, grief mentor, writer? Did anything in the beauty industry kind of help you with that?
Absolutely. I think that every experience that I've had up to this point, in a lot of ways, even if I didn't know where I was headed in the moment, in retrospect, has been leading me here all along. In the beauty industry, I was um, producing experiences and events, and I worked with over 200 independent contractors and educators that were deeply passionate people about their craft. I mean, I'm not sure if everybody knows this, but hairdressing and hair care is considered to be, by many of the people who work in it, like an art form, and they love it and they're so passionate about it. And so I learned so much about um, about kind of like the sort of curation of an environment that is supportive to creativity and caring for people and what it means to create an environment of care. Um, so yeah, and I also I worked in that environment too when my husband was diagnosed, um, and in a lot of ways it wasn't an environment that I felt like I could go back to after he passed away. I am not the same person that I was, and I don't really even know that I know how to be the person that I used to be. When you go through something that's so that rocks your foundation as much as a terminal disease and losing someone that's so close to you, it does, or it did for me, cause me to like, I've rebuilt my identity. I'm not shaped by, or I'm not, I don't, my identity isn't built around cancer. But I view the world very differently now. And the things that were important to me before just aren't anymore.
Yeah, like it's kind of sad that it takes those types of things to put things into perspective. Like something like when someone they take things for granted, they take certain things for granted, and then that person has a near death experience, and then you kind of look back and you're like, oh, all those times where I was complaining about what they did and what they joked about and stuff like that. I was always complaining about that. But once something like that happens, it's kind of a shame that that's what it takes for you to really take stock of what's important. Was there anything else in your life that after, of course, your husband was diagnosed and everything, that you kind of said like, why did I complain about this? Why did I complain about that? Like, the whole saying of don't sweat the small stuff. We could be here one day and gone tomorrow. Like, was there anything else that you really kind of took, stock of and think like, yeah, like that actually wasn't as big of a deal as I thought it was?
Um, Yeah, I mean, I think that the this my whole idea around like urgency has changed in so many ways. Like our society is driven around urgency, and like we're getting, notifications on like many different platforms all at once. And I think that like the truth of it is, after going through what I've been through, like very few things truly are urgent, and in giving ourselves the space to truly be present with our interactions and with our responses and with the stimuli in our environment, it really, really changes the way that we see the world. And, I always try to respond to people from a place of presence as opposed to a place of urgency. And it dramatically changes the way that I interact with people when I'm there from a place of presence as opposed to some imagined responsibility to respond immediately. That's not kind to myself, and it's not kind to the other person either.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it's really because not everybody can understand everybody's perspectives on certain things. I mean, like people who like a PTSD is a real thing too. That some people might say like, "Oh, come on, like you lived, you survived the accident, you survived this. Why are you kind of like?" I've heard people say that to people. Just realize that you're alive and stuff like that, and everything's good. Don't worry about it. But it's real. Like that stuff's real. That like, what's your opinion on people who don't? Do you think everybody struggles with mental health in some way or anxiety? Because I always say, put yourself in other shoes and really try to understand where they're coming from and try to um, you know think about, okay, if you were in my shoes, like would you be worried about this, would you not be worried about that? And I think to a certain extent, I think everybody worries about something. So what's your kind of take on like everybody has anxiety?
I think that people don't know what they don't know until it's revealed to them that they don't know it. And so, like, it's like you can't see what you can't see. And so, in a lot of ways, it's impossible for others to be empathetic towards someone else's journey because they truly can't see what that other person is going through and what they're contending with. And everything about us as individuals is shaped by um, factors that can't be known by other people, like, the ways in which the dynamics through which we were brought into this world, and the ways in which we attuned to our caregivers and what our earliest environments were like all of that imprints our nervous systems and has an impact on the ways that we respond to the world as we grow. And those imprints aren't permanent, but we have to become aware of them in order to reshape them. And I don't think that everybody has like the life experiences that kind of cause you to take a step back and zoom out and ask with curiosity and not judgment, like, hey, why is this the way that it is with me? And is this even what I want? Like, is this is this congruent with how I want to be showing up in the world? And with, in my case, I certainly never imagined myself in this space. I never imagined being a widow at 34 years old. But I wouldn't I wouldn't go backwards. I wouldn't trade the love story that I had. I wouldn't trade the growth that I experienced through our relationship and through grief following his death for anything. Like, I've become a much more aware and happier and joyful person as a result. And I think it's like important to highlight that we will all go through hard things in life. That is unavoidable. But there are hard things that life gives us, and there are hard things that we create for ourselves.
Oh, 100%. 100%. And like it's just even the way you say that, it's being a widow at 34 years old. It's just something that sometimes when you think about it, it's like that doesn't make any sense. Like why did this have to work out that way? Um but so kind of can you take me back a little bit to when you found out about his diagnosis and when you knew that it wasn't gonna work out?
Yeah, well, my husband James was diagnosed in July of 2021, and as we all know, that was in the thick of the pandemic, and we had just come back to New York, which is where we were living pre-COVID, but we were traveling like for work during March of 2020, and just sort of circumstances aligned where we were able to spend a year and a half not in the city. And we came back, and not with the intention of really staying. We just came back to kind of settle our affairs and like get our stuff and all the things. And within a month of being here, he was diagnosed at stage 3 colon cancer in the emergency room with emergency surgery. And doctors were like, we think we got it all. Like, this is going to be fine. Like, this is just going to be a blip in your life. And you're going to, we want you to go through this preventative chemotherapy, but it's going to be 6 months, and then you're going to live the rest of your life and it's going to be fine. And so there was this trust that was engendered within the medical space where we were like, okay, like, we rely on you, we trust you, like, we trust what you're saying. And frankly, it it wasn't the way that they said it was going to be. He did the 6 months of chemotherapy, and in the early part of the following year, we had a CT scan that revealed that the cancer had metastasized to his liver. And sadly, we were informed that this was evident on an earlier scan that happened 4 months earlier that they had missed. And then they also told us that it had also metastasized to his peritoneum, which is the lining of our abdomen, and that they'd also missed that, and it was that made it terminal and incurable. And we maintained sort of an incredible sense of hope throughout his journey. I mean, even really until the very end, like we believed that it was possible for, kind of a statistically unlikely possibility because having done a lot of research, those outcomes aren't as rare as we're led to believe they are. And we realized just how much is left to be desired in the medical spaces and what's not being addressed. And particularly mental health is a big thing that's not being addressed in medical spaces and cancer spaces. And so, I mean, that was really where our work thrived in advocacy and becoming each other's advocates. Like our relationship really, really bloomed during this time period. Which is another reason why I wouldn't trade what we went through for anything. Like I experienced a level of depth in love that I know that is very rare and uncommon, and to have gotten to experience that is the honor of my life, and to have gotten to share this journey with someone. It's really tender and delicate as someone is in the final stages of their life, but it's also deeply beautiful and meaningful and worthwhile. And at the same time, like we got to craft his legacy together as an artist, as a musician, and that work that we did together still lives on, and there's still good that's coming from the story that he decided to share.
This episode of the Corcoran Entertainment Show is brought to you by Black Box Prompter. Are you a musician tired of being tethered to your tablet or music stand? Do you long to connect with your audience on a deeper level, but find yourself constantly glancing down at your lyrics and chords? Then I highly recommend Black Box Prompter, the smart and stealthy lyrics and chords teleprompter designed to liberate musicians from the stage clutter. This innovative device is perfect for bands, hobbyists jamming out in the garage, touring pros rocking arenas, and even houses of worship looking to elevate their services. It discreetly displays your lyrics and chords, allowing you to maintain eye contact with your audience, adding an extra layer of authenticity and connection to your performance. Don't let distractions hold you back. Unleash your full potential and create a more powerful connection with your audience with Black Box Prompter. Click the link in our episode description and use the promo code Corcoran at checkout for 10% off your purchase. Black Box Prompter, the smart teleprompter built for musicians by musicians. And how is it, because I mean it still is fairly recently, how are you with in terms of just like the emotions and just thinking, like they always say the heartbreak will never go away, it's always going to be there, but how have you been within the last few years of just in terms of crying and stuff like that? I mean, like, have you gotten better within the last few years in terms of, because I know of some people who lose someone, it doesn't matter how long it is, they start talking about them and they start crying immediately. I mean, how hard was that for you to just even talk about him after he passed?
It's so necessary for me to be in environments where I get to talk about James. And I feel so grateful and so lucky to get to have such an incredible community of people that have shown up for me in ways that I really could never have imagined, but that loved him so much and that get as much out of talking about him and remembering him fondly as I do. And I also want to say, and I know everybody's grief experience is incredibly unique, um, and should never be compared. I but I mean, I know that James is with me. Like I hear his voice. Like I mean, he's still, he's still here, like encouraging me and nudging me on. Um, and I think about like when I really, really miss him, I think about him and I ask him questions. I'm like, what do you think about this? And I don't, I can't tell you where it comes from, but I hear what he thinks about. I mean, I knew him on such a deep level um, that like I'm able to really, connect with him and hear like, okay, well, this is what's happening in my life. And I know what he would say about it because I hear what he would say about it. And I guess it's really allowed my spirituality to expand in a way that was, I mean, it's new and it's unexpected for me. I didn't I mean, I meditated before James passed away, and I have a really consistent and embodied yoga practice and somatic work, but this is kind of different, I think that when going through something like this, like losing him was my worst nightmare. And I am living in one version of my worst nightmare right now. But I still find beauty and I still find joy. Like there's space for it all. And um it it sort of like, especially with terminal illness, it creates sort of a level of desperation where like you are hoping for anything to change these circumstances. Like first you're hoping for a cure, then you're hoping for there to be like less suffering, and then you're hoping for there to be peace. And after peace, like you're hoping that you don't lose the light that this person has given you or that you receive or that you exchange with this person. And so for me, it like opened this deep level of curiosity that I get to explore of like how I still get to feel connected to him.
And do you ever feel guilt in some ways? If you like, I hear of some people who go through like they don't think about somebody who passed for a day or two, and then they feel almost bad that like how could I not have thought about them? There's some people who just after a certain point they just wake up, they go about their business and stuff like that, and uh afterwards they feel almost bad when they're suddenly reminded of I didn't even think about, in your case, like I didn't think about James at all today. Like, have you ever had those types of feelings at all? Or like because the grieving process is really, there's no easy way to say it. It is very complicated. So did you have any of those types of feelings after he had passed, like after a certain time has went on?
No. Um, and it's not been 2 years yet. It's been a year and 10 months since James passed away, and I still live in our house, and everything reminds me of him, So I can't answer that from my perspective because it hasn't happened yet. I mean, I do every night, like I still tell him I love him. And when I see a picture of him or like something that reminds me of him, it's just like I can't even help it. I'm just like, oh my God, I love you so much. And I know also that like he needs me to be okay. He wants me to be okay. Um, so I don't know. I guess maybe we'll have to check back in a few years and see if this is something that I encounter.
Like, and I think you have such a great mindset with regards to all of this. I mean, because as I had mentioned to you, that many people they go through grief, they go through major personal losses like this, and they don't want to talk about it. They don't want to talk about it. They want to just, and as I said, it's not really a bad thing. It's just, people deal with grief and all that stuff differently. Even though like it's kind of crazy, does it ever sink in? Because as you said, what, a year and how long? Sorry, a month, a year and a month, or 2 months?
10 months
10
here.
months. Oh, geez. It still feels like, does it ever feel sometimes like it doesn't feel like it's been that long since, like, do you ever have those days where it's like it just feels like I was just with them yesterday? Like, how has the time passed? Has it gone quick? Has it gone slow? How would you describe that?
Oh, time does something funny in grief. And I think in some ways, like I've heard from other people that like like in COVID, where like it's like it feels like it's been forever, and it also feels like it's been no time at all. Like COVID backed right in, like bumped right into cancer for me. And so in a lot of ways, like there were like 3 years where it just felt like this very odd, like sort of time warp where time was passing very slow, and also it was moving very quick. And even now, like when I return to spaces that he and I shared, like outside of our home, um, like it's almost like I could close my eyes and he would be right there. I still like I go to some of the shows that like he would be playing, like if he were here, and I'll be in the green room with like the all the people, that the artists that he played with, and like everything looks the same, smells the same, sounds the same, and it's like I can close my eyes and I can see his face right here. Um but as I said, I also like I deep visceral level, um that I don't struggle with loneliness. Um, I do, I do get kind of, I sometimes I get wrapped up in like having like the things that suck to have to do without him, like moving, for instance. I'm preparing to move out of the place that we shared together. And it's like, 10 years ago, James and I were together for 7.5 years. So 10 years ago, I moved, well, like 10 and a half years ago was the last time I moved before he and I lived together. And that was such an easy move for me. Like everything was just so easy. Like I didn't overthink things. I mean, I probably did in my own way, but like it was fine. It's different. It is so different. And especially like moving through like our shared life and learning how to let go of things and hold on to things, and how to pack things, like, to pack things that I want to hold on to but that belong to him. Like there are some really delicate and sensitive feelings around that I'm navigating for sure.
And it's always going to be that way in a sense, like you're always gonna, uh even if, no matter what it is, there will be something in, like, 20 years or so, that you look back and go, oh yeah, this reminds me of James, and this, I remember we used to do this together. And and it's certainly not anything that I can relate to, but I mean, it's one of those things that, the pain will never go away, but you've managed to come to terms with it. It was like, this was, these are the cards you're dealt, when talking about, like, or thinking about, sorry, the different stages of grief. One of the biggest ones or most common ones is anger. How did you deal with, like, the anger in the during the grieving process, like just being angry? And then was there a certain point where you're like, there's not really much more I can be angry at, just it happened, what else can I do?
Well, here's what I've learned about emotions. Emotions aren't, they want to be heard, and they want to be, they're internal signals and messengers. and they want to be expressed and heard and felt, and not reacted to. Like reacting to emotions is like pouring gasoline on them, and it does not serve us generally well. So I mean, my best thing, best advice when it comes to anger is to just listen to it and hear what it is that is trying to be expressed. And as a writer, it's something that has been an incredible outlet for me. Is just like, I almost feel like I have all these little different versions of myself inside of me, like the movie Inside Out. Like there is like a I personify anger. It's like, what do you need? What do you need to say, sweet girl? How can I help you? And like just like be really tender with her and hear what she has to say. Like we all just want to be heard. Every version of us wants to be heard. And um and it doesn't mean that something needs to be done with about it. It's just like, that was the in grief is like, I think a lot of people are really uncomfortable with being around people that have gone through what I've gone through because they don't know what to say and they don't want to say the wrong thing and they don't want to upset me, and also they want to fix it, but like there's nothing to fix. There is nothing to fix. It just is what it is. And like I just want to be um just want to be heard, and that has been kind of the hardest thing is like, some of the people that have been in my life the longest, like my parents, for instance, they do not know how to be around me right now. They, or even to just like be on the phone with me. Like they just want to fill the space with words and not have any empty space. And they like, it makes them super uncomfortable to hear about anything about like how I'm doing. So they don't even ask. They don't ask, how are you? They just start talking about themselves and about all the things that's going on in their lives. And I know that they care, and I know that they're not, this isn't malicious, but it feels terrible on the receiving end. Um, it feels like what I'm going through is being erased. It makes me feel invisible. And so I have to be really cognizant about the environments that I put myself in, and, the people I surround myself with, to make sure that I'm in warm environments that are nurturing, because that's what I need. And I have to be really honest about that.
Yeah, like, and I mean, I can speak from experience in the sense of, I know of people who have lost their, spouses, and there's one, I won't say names or anything on here, but there's one that I know in particular. Her husband passed away a few years ago, and saw them everywhere. Always had a great say with them and all that stuff. And so the first time I saw her, it was like a month after he had passed, and it was just being around. I was like, I want to, like I'm not gonna act any differently. I'm just gonna say, like, like, just, how have you been? And even part of me was like, you know not that I'm feeling bad about asking how she is. It's just like, I haven't seen her. Last time I saw her was when she was with her husband, and now he's not here anymore. So, it's kind of like a, maybe not an elephant in the room, but it's just like, you care about them, and you're just like, so, how you make it out? I'm sorry to hear. And, it all went good. And I was like, okay. But like, there was that part of me that's like, okay, just think of the right way to word it. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, it's definitely like, you want to be supportive, but it's like, how people who are going through this, um it's like, I mean, like, obviously this pales in comparison to, you know losing people who are close to you, and spouses. But like, it's like whenever someone's dog passes away, and there's some people who just can't see other people walking with a dog, or else it just, it sets them off. So, grief works interestingly for all different sides, the people who it didn't affect, the people who it did affect, the immediate family, the friends of the family. How do I approach these conversations and stuff? How about like holidays and stuff, like as you approach, like, his birthday, and you approach Valentine's Day, do you ever feel any types of emotions around then? Because I mean, we're recording this a few weeks, or sorry, a few days before Father's Day. And so I know there's some people in my life who are going through their first Father's Day without their father. And so obviously the grief and the emotions are high. As you approach like Valentine's Day and his birthday, how are the emotions?
Well, his birthday is 10 days before Valentine's Day, so
Oh,
they're right next to each other. But I mean, for me, I just try to honor him. Like I honor the traditions that we had. Like for one, if there was something that he really enjoyed or that we always enjoyed doing together, like I do it. And I find a friend that is open to being in that space with me, and like really just like revel in the joy that we shared and creating more joy in that space. Like, my husband and I love to go out for sushi, and there were certain things that he always ordered, and so I still order them, and I like really like just like allow myself to be so present and grateful for like the flavors and like everything about it, like just like it just is something that I feel like in a way it's like kind of like time travel, like I get to still enjoy the things that we got to enjoy together, and I try to be really intentional about it too. I am never gonna spend his birthday sitting at home alone, and or Valentine's Day. I'm gonna find a way to make that day still feel um like it's full of love.
yeah, and that's all you can do. Like, it's just eventually there's just the acceptance of this is just how it is now. Not that you ever forget, or not that you ever want to pretend it didn't happen. It it's life. And I think you're handling it amazingly. I really do. A year and 10 months later, almost 2 years. It's just, I think you've developed such a great mindset during throughout this whole process. So I really want to applaud you for that. Are there any like other creative outlets or anything that you kind of encourage others to seek during this process, or like if there's processes that other people are going through?
Yeah, totally. I mean, the free, like I have several. I've got a lot. I would love to talk about this. Free writing is magic. One of the things that I mean, every morning I wake up and I free write while I'm drinking my tea. And I sometimes I write as if like I write like as if like what would James say to me? And I just like let it flow. Like I don't think about it. I don't try to edit it. I just let the words come out. And it is an incredibly supportive and beautiful process to like get to sort of feel connected to him in that way. Another thing that I do is I started like working with paper and just creating collages. I know that your audience won't get to see this, but I'll show you like an example where I'll just like cut out shapes and like
Oh,
make stuff that like speaks to whatever mindset that I'm in. And like frankly, like right after James passed away, like I'll describe this image. It's like a little stick figure girl wearing a dress, holding a heart-shaped balloon. And I made a lot of these in the months after he passed away. And I have come to kind of see myself as this girl where like my heart like is it, like I'm holding my heart like by a string, and it's floating above me, and like it's become like very metaphorical and symbolic in a lot of ways, and has allowed me to like to find meaning in that. um Another thing is reading and immersing myself in stories. I love stories. They make me feel so warm inside, and when we can find stories that are similar to our own, or even if they're not super similar, but we can find things where we see ourselves in parts of the story, like that's also incredibly healing to be able to feel seen and related to, even if it's not in real time, but to know like you're like, I'm not alone. Other people have been through this, and there is still love in the world. Like it's going to be okay. And I am strong and I am courageous, and I'm gonna be okay. Like I have already been through something that it's not gonna be worse than going through what I've already gone through, which is like watching the love of my life go through a very long and slow and painful passing. Um, and other things like that are really supportive in this process is just like taking care of myself, like really pouring the love that I used to pour into him, like into myself. And like taking a walk and noticing like the flowers, noticing the wind moving through the leaves and the trees, and like looking at the water and nature and hearing the birds sing, um, and just being as present as possible. I feel like, this type of experience really does hone in on the present, like the future and the past aren't really as loud to me as they ever used to be. Like all I have is right now. And I know that from like having gone through terminal illness with somebody.
It's a lot. Yeah, like it's I just think I'm just in awe, like, and I'm really, it's there's a lot of different ways, as we say, to process it, and but really from what it sounds like, it's, kind of stop and smell the roses. You kind of think about if he was here right now, or like, would he want you to be doing this? Would he want you to be um moping around? Would he want you to not go on that trip that you weren't thinking about going on, but or like maybe there was a trip that you were both going to go on, and now that he's not here, you're not going to go on it now. He would want you to do that. So there's the best thing to do, like, is just honor him. Think about what he would do, and I think you've handled it absolutely spectacularly. And just as I said, just I applaud you. I think it's amazing what you've done. And so if you were to give, let's say, any final words to our listeners about anybody who might be struggling with grief, mental health, whatever the case may be, what would your parting words be?
I would say to go slow and be really, really patient with yourself, and to listen to how you're feeling. Like listen to your feelings, let them be heard, and know that you don't have to do this alone. Like there are like tools of support that don't that are really, really helpful, and like I am one of them. I offer myself as a resource to anyone that is facing either this thing in particular where they've lost someone, or they're going through a major life transition, or they're facing caregiving where they're finding like this it's challenging to have the capacity to move through what they're going through. Like I am a resource and I'm here for you. And I have resources on my website where you can access some of the things that I've talked about here today, like instructional resources. I'm working on a book called The Little Book to Remember, and it's how we can connect with ourselves and like kind of the core essence of who we are beneath all the things that we've gone through in life. And find peace and find spaciousness to experience joy again, even while we're going through hard things simultaneously. And so, yeah, I would just say to like know that it's okay to not be okay, and it's okay to move through this gently and with care. And anybody can find me. My website is alchemyforhumanhearts.com, and I would be honored to hear from you and walk through this journey with you.
And what a journey that you've been on. And, thinking of you and, all, like just, I think it's, as I said, like, I'm probably sounding like a broken record, but just saying like how you dealt with this is truly amazing and really inspiring too, that I think this will help a lot of people who are going through this or something similar. Ayla, thank you so much for taking the time to come on today, to share your story. And James would be happy. He really, really would be. So, thank you again. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Frankie. It was a pleasure.
Yes, thank you very much. Guys, thank you so much for listening to the show today. We will see you next time. But until then, this is Frankie and Ayla Casey signing off. Cheers, Ayla.
Cheers.